In this section, we're going to be learning the properties of exponents. Really, we're going to be reviewing it. This is something you guys should have been doing since, like, I don't know, third grade. So let's go with this first property, zero exponent property. A to the 0 equals 1. Really, that just means anything you have to the 0 could be 10 to the 0. That would be 1. Pi to the 0, that would be 1. X to the 0 would be 1. Anything you can think of to the 0 power is 1. So that's a really simple thing. And I mean, you can have a crazy looking problem. It might look fearful. But if everything's to the 0, guess what? Your answer is 1. So that's probably my favorite property because it's just so easy. Looking at the negative exponent property usually causes a little bit of confusion. So if you have, let's say, 3 to the negative 2, you can rewrite it and put it on the other side of the fraction. Now, currently, we don't have a fraction, but we can make it 1 by putting it over 1. So then that would become 3 to the positive 2 on the bottom, and since nothing's left on the top, we'll put a 1. You don't want to put a 0 because then that would just say the whole thing's 0. And similarly, if you have something on the bottom, let's just say 2 over 3 to the negative 2, you could bring that 3 to the negative 2 up top, make it a positive 2, and then what would be left on the bottom would just be a 1, which you don't even have to put that if it's on the bottom. And that's the negative exponent property, so don't really get too upset if you run into something like that. It's not that bad. Product of powers property, here's our next property. So when you multiply two numbers with the same base, what do we do to the exponents? Well, we add them. So that would be 2 to the 8 in this example. And why is that? Well, 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2. And 2 to the fifth is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So how many total 2's would you have there? Well, you would have 3 plus 5 is 8 2's. So this one really just makes sense just thinking about, you take it down to what is an exponent. It's just multiplying it by itself that many times. So if you have 2 to the third times 2 to the fifth, you would have a total of 8 2's being multiplied together. Let's look at the quotient rule. So that's when you subtract the exponent. So if you have 2 to the 5 over 2 to the third, then that would be, if you expand it out, I like to picture expanding it out. So we have 5 2's on the top, 3 on the bottom. Those would cancel out and leave you with 2 2's on the top. And then that would just be a 1 on the bottom, which we don't have to put. So that's a pretty easy one. Just, usually it's the top minus the bottom. Notice there it's m minus n. So if you want to pay careful attention, like something a little more complex would be like 2 to the negative 11 over 2 to the 5. Well, that would be 2 to the negative 11 minus 5, which is 2 to the negative 16. So you're just taking that top minus the bottom. Looking at the next one, we got to be very careful with this next one. So if you have a times b to the n, that would be like if you have, let's just say, x times y to the third, then you could rewrite that as x to the third times y to the third. Now, why is that? Think about it. That would be x times y times x times y times x times y. Oops, I forgot the y on the last one. And a total of 3 times, because it's x times y to the third. So we have that 3 times. Well, x times x times x is x to the third, and y times y times y is y to the third. Now, do not get that confused with x plus y to the third. That would not work for addition. You can't just skip down there to addition. A lot of people want to say that's x to the third plus y to the third. That is not it, not for that one. And the reason being is because x plus y to the third would be x plus y times x plus y times x plus y, and then we would have to sit there and then FOIL these and then take that and whatever we get, distribute it to that, and it's completely different. Another common thing that ends up wrong or incorrect in this is if you have a number in there, a lot of people, I don't know why, they like to forget the number. Don't forget the number. They'll write 2x to the third, y to the third. That would be wrong. You would want it to be 2 to the third times x to the third, y to the third. And the reason for that, same idea. That 2, you would have a 2. Let's just say we have the 2 right there. You would have that in all of those. So you'd have 2 times 2 times 2 as well. Our last property is a to the m to the n. So a to the m to the n, just think about that. If we have 2 to the third, let's just say to the fourth, that would be 2 to the 12. Now, why is that? Because you would have 2 to the third times 2 to the third times 2 to the third times 2 to the third for a total of, well, if you go back to this property, we add them all up. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. And if you really want to know why we add it all up, it's because we have 2 times 2 times 2, times 2 times 2 times 2, times 2 times 2 times 2, times 2 times 2 times 2 for a total of 12 2's. So you just multiply the exponents. When you have an exponent to another exponent, you just multiply those together, and that's it.